A stunning fragrance from an amazing house. This is Pachuli Kozha from Nishane. Stick around as I delve into one of my favorite fragrances from my favorite niche house. Hey, welcome back to Real Scent Review. Today I'm going to offer one of my just very favorite fragrances. It's a stunner. It's from my favorite niche house, Nishane. This one is Pachuli Kozha. Now from Nishane, everybody knows Hacivat. Everybody knows, Fan Your Flames or 100 Silent Ways, for example. But Pachuli Kozha is one of their more under the radar releases. It's not nearly as under the radar as ones like Bosporus, for example, but most people are not going to have heard of this one here, Pachuli Kozha, and I think it's a real shame because, like I said, this is a surreal fragrance and I can't wait to just jump into this review. So first, a little bit of background on the House of Nishane. Nishane is from Istanbul, Turkey. They're arguably the most well-known fragrance brand in general from Istanbul and all of Turkey at this point, which is pretty considerable because they were only founded in 2012, so 12 years ago. Since that time, in that small period of time, relatively speaking, they have released some of the most respected and well-renowned fragrances in the niche game. I'm referring to mostly Hacivat and Ani and 100 Silent Ways, for example, but they have just so many other amazing fragrances, even ones like this that are not really well known. I'm gonna bring some attention and some awareness to this one today. So the founders of this company were inspired by the long history of Istanbul, the crossroads between two different worlds, Asia and Europe. And Nishane itself means mark or symbol in Turkish. So the idea behind these fragrances is to leave a mark or to symbolize a particular region of the world or a particular tradition. So for example, I'm going to name two fragrances from the house, Karagöz and Hacivat. Those are fairly well-known fragrances from the house. Karagöz and Hacivat are two characters from a series of famous Turkish shadow plays. So basically, Karagöz is a character that represents the working class of society. Karagöz is lively, and the actual scent of Karagöz is fruity and uplifting and lively, while Hacivat in the series of plays represents the upper class, right? And it's a little bit more serious. Hacivat itself is a mossy, woody, kind of sharp fragrance. Meanwhile, other fragrances from the house are named after cities. For example, we have Ege from the house, which is an aquatic, slightly green and citrusy fragrance. Ege is inspired by the Turkish city of Izmir, which is on the Aegean Sea. And we also have ones like Sultan Vetiver, which is inspired by the city of Mumbai, India. That fragrance smells like spicy, earthy vetiver, reminiscent of the city of Mumbai. This one here, Pachuli Kozha, as you can see, says Moskva on the front, which is Moscow. Pachuli Kozha itself means patchouli leather or patchouli skin in Russian and other Slavic languages. So the inspiration behind this fragrance here, as you will see later on in this review, it pertains to the long history of leather tanning and leather preparation in Russia. Traditionally in Russia, they would use birch tar in order to finish the leather, right? So the leather process creates some pretty unpleasant smells. And in order to cover that up, traditionally in Russia, like I said, they would use birch tar, which adds kind of a minty smokiness to the leather. So Russian leather goods, famous for their high quality and distinctive scent. So the patchouli part of the name confused me for a little while because as far as I know, there's no real patchouli industry in Russia. So I asked Nishane what the connection was between patchouli and Russia, Moscow specifically, and this is what they answered. The rich and earthy patchouli symbolizes the history and depth of Russian culture. It adds a deep and mysterious character to the fragrance, reminiscent of the enigmatic allure of Moscow. So that was a really interesting little tidbit there. I'm a history buff, I'm a history nerd, and I love geography, which is one of the reasons why Nishane is absolutely one of my favorite fragrance houses. I love the geographical references they make. I love how their scents are made to capture the aura of a particular city in the world. It makes me feel as though I can travel anywhere just by sniffing the scent on my skin. And another reason why I absolutely love Nishane, apart from the amazing quality and uniqueness of their fragrances, is that, I don't know, I have some sort of emotional connection with the scents. I can't explain it very well, but if I had to put it into words, smelling Nishane fragrances is like coming home after a long journey. That's what I have to say. That's why they're my favorite niche house. Okay, enough talk. I am going to get right into the presentation now. So the outer box is like this. It's black, it says Nishane. On the side here, it has this symbol, which, you know what? I'm actually not sure what this is. I should know that, being that they're my favorite niche house, but alas, I do not. I will have to research that later. Anyway, the box is black. It has a papery finish to it. Slides like this to reveal the inner box. Now the inner box is where the bottle itself lies. And you can see right here, it has a velvety bed to lay in. Now I really like this presentation. It is classy. It's interesting without being gaudy or tacky. Like a lot of budget Middle Eastern brands tend to just go all out with their presentation. Now Nishane, for example, keeps it understated while maintaining that class. Honestly, I really like Nishane's presentation. And another cool aspect about Nishane's presentation is that every box contains a postcard. Comes in an envelope like this. And this particular postcard for the Pachuli Kozha fragrance looks like this. It looks like flowers. I'm pretty sure that's supposed to be chamomile. And on the bottom here, you can see the company's official notes. And there's a spot on the back here to write your message, being a postcard. I thought that was really cool. They put some attention to detail in their presentation. Awesome, awesome presentations. And we have the bottle itself here, amazing. So yeah, you can see it's a square. It says Nishane Pachuli Kozha, Moskva on the front. On the very bottom here along the trim, you can see in very small letters the notes as well. Cap comes off, there's no friction whatsoever, so this just slides off, slides on really easily. Be very careful. But the cap itself, very heavy, golden, looks like kind of a whirlwind, like a whirlpool rather. And it says Nishane on the top. Very, very heavy cap, very heavy bottle as well. This is only 50 milliliters, but it feels very heavy, solid. There's some heft to it. I love it. So if you notice here, it's a golden plaque on the front and it says Moskva. So these are the newer versions of the bottles. The older version of the bottle, this one and I'm pretty sure most other members of the house have just a plain gray or silver plaque with the word Istanbul written on the bottom. So the original bottles, the older bottles, only had Istanbul written, and I'm not sure, after a while, I think the house started to gain some inspiration from other cities worldwide. So that's when they re-released the bottle designs to list cities other than Istanbul on them. So as far as I know, there are no reformulations. They just changed the bottle design and the name of the cities. Yeah, as you can tell, I'm really excited to talk about this brand here. Also, I've had 3 coffees this morning, so I'm just rearing to go here. Super excited. Pardon for the spiel that I've gone on today, but I just love talking about my favorite niche house. Now, the most important part, getting a spray out of this beautiful bottle. Beautiful bottle, beautiful spray. It's a nice fat puff. It's strong. In the beginning, I get some Artemisia, some honey, and ylang ylang. In the mid, I get some patchouli, some more honey, and some chamomile. And in the dry down, it's all about leather, amber, and incense. So right off the beginning, we're going to get a huge blast of like boozy, sweet honey. So the booziness is going to be coming from the Artemisia, which is, like I said, it's boozy, it's herbal, it's a little bit camphorous, and mixed with the honey, which in this case is sweet, syrupy, waxy, balsamic, and a little bit camphorous in and of itself, Those two notes mixed together create a really, really boozy characteristic. It almost smells like a sweetened bourbon, right? Like think Jack Daniel's honey. That's what I'm reminded of in the beginning here. It's a very powerful opening, so be prepared for that. But in the top, we're also met with some ylang ylang, which gives a nice floral tinge. And it also, in the background, I get a little bit of like creamy banana, almost. Very weird, I know, but it works. And the ylang ylang is not even the most prominent note. It's kind of just there in the background, but very interesting. It adds a really interesting touch to the opening here. Now, as this goes drying down, the patchouli starts to make itself very apparent, especially in the mid. So this particular patchouli is earthy, it's herbal, it's got a little bit of a bitter, chocolatey characteristic going on. It's a little bit woody as well. And that's mixed with more honey and some chamomile. So the chamomile in this is gonna give it a bit of a floral touch, a very light floral touch. It's a little bit fresh and it has a little bit of a tea nuance. It smells a little bit like a tea bag. But the chamomile, not overly powerful in the mid here. The mid is definitely about that patchouli and honey. So in the dry down, we get leather, some amber, and incense. The leather in this one is not overly strong. In fact, it's quite smooth, it's silky, while at the same time being a little bit dark. And that's mixed with some amber, so we get the creamy, sweet benzoin vanilla dustiness going on. And I think the benzoin also adds a little bit of camphor to the bottom. So it mixes with that leather in a way that can almost remind me of like the typical Russian style leathers, right? So like a minty kind of smoky leather. It's not like a straight up minty smoky leather that I get in the bottom, but the camphorous characteristics of the amber mixed with that slightly dark silky leather do give off reminders, let's say, of that classic Russian leather. And to finish it all off in the bottom here, there's some incense. It's a very light incense. It's a little bit dry, but at the same time, it's a little bit smoky. And it's cooling. It's a cooling type of smoke in the bottom here. Not overly smoky at all, so don't let that turn you off if you're not a fan of smoky incense. So all in all, if I had to describe this fragrance using only a few descriptors, it's very herbal, balsamic, it's a little bit leathery, and sweet. So wow, 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 I am in love with this fragrance. It is so unique. In the grand scheme of things, at least, it is unique, although I am reminded a little bit of this. This is 1740 Marquis de Sade by Histoire de Parfum. They are similar, but at the same time, they maintain their uniqueness. They are not redundant. But yeah, I actually mentioned in my review of this that I was reminded slightly of Pachuli Kozha. But yeah, this here is for perfume lovers. It is not a casual scent, at least not what one would typically consider to be a casual scent. It is reflective, it is transportative, it is magic in a bottle. I am in love with this stunner. It's mature, but also it has kind of like a warm, sexy allure to it. So this is unique. I would not call it challenging, but it is very different. This is not like many fragrances on the market today. If you're just like a casual fragrance enjoyer, you might find this a little bit too different for your own taste, while at the same time, it's not animalic, at least not overly animalic. I find though that Nishane, throughout all of their fragrances, each one has like a tiny, just a tiny animalic bite to it. Some much more than others. For example, Musica Oud is an extremely animalic fragrance. But no, digressing here, most Nishanes, they tend to have just a tiny little bite of animalic pleasure, and I get a little bit of that in this. But anyway, it's not challenging. It's not overtly in your face or anything. It's just different. Maybe not the most versatile fragrance. However, I would say this. I think if you're mature and you're going on a date with someone who's also mature, this would be a good choice. It's warm, it's alluring, it's sexy, but it's mature at the same time. It's very interesting because, like I said, doesn't really smell like a whole lot out there on the market. And especially for the average person out there, they're gonna think that this is quite exotic, quite different in a special way, not in a challenging way. So it might be obvious already, but this is a fragrance more so for fragrance lovers, for like serious collectors, not for the casual wearer. Although I do think you could get away with wearing this outdoors pretty much in any season at night. I think this is a perfect nighttime fragrance. It's a little bit dark, but it's sweet and it's alluring. It's mysterious, let's say. But as far as like daily office use, I don't know. I think it's too special for something like that. As far as going to a club, again, too special for that. But like if you're on an outing, you're going out somewhere, like literally outside during the nighttime, any time of year, be a great scent. Just like it would be a great formal scent, like for a wedding or for a really important meeting. Yeah, leans more formal than casual, but at nighttime, any season, I think, you know what, go for it. If you like it, wear it. The performance on this is incredible, incredible. I haven't actually like measured the longevity, but it lasts all day. It lasts through an entire work day. I'm gonna estimate that it's 10 plus hours. Same with the projection. I haven't actually measured the projection on this one, mostly because I'm enjoying it too much to really think too much about the performance when I'm wearing it. But I can say that it's one of the strong performers of my collection. It's, I don't know, probably about an arm's length for several hours, I don't know. But the sillage is very, very heavy on this one. This will stick around in the air for hours. You know, I sprayed this on, leave the room, come back after 4 hours, I can still kind of smell it a little bit. Really good performer, really good quality fragrance. It's a stunner, love the fragrance, love the house. Now, another reason why I might not recommend this to the casual wearer is because this is expensive. Prices on this one fluctuate depending on what website you're looking at, depending on what part of the world you're in. But right now on FragranceNet in the United States, this is 120 US for a 50 milliliter bottle. And in Europe right now, Brasti has this on for 160 euros for the same volume. Now, about that Brasti price, 160, sometimes it's more expensive than that, but I've also found it far cheaper. Like I've found this for as low as 110 euros in some places. So just keep an eye out if you're interested in this fragrance. Be searching the internet for this because you can find discounts at certain times of the year. Well, you know what? I don't really know if I have much more to say about this absolute work of art from Nishane, other than the fact that if you're an advanced collector and you don't have this yet, go check it out. If you have Marquis de Sade 1740 by Histoire de Parfum and you enjoy that, take a look at this one. You're really gonna love it. Anyway, guys, that's been my review of this just work of art here, like I said, by Nishane, Pachuli Kozha. Hope you've enjoyed it. Hope this review has been enlightening for you. And yeah, if you don't know Nishane, you owe it to yourself to check them out. Anyway, guys, until next time, keep it real.